himself, then it's a very difficult proposition to carry the mind. Carry the child, like that. A 20 kg fellow. So 5, 10, 15 minutes only a person will start foaming. They will not have the strength. And this fellow, if you put him down on the road, this fellow is crying. I want Gudi, like that. So the child is not very, this thing. So if the child doesn't want to go, and forcibly one is taking that child, so very difficult. See, this is now this is example I am saying of a child who is not creating resistance, is going, but he has to be picked up and taken. So that itself is a very big ordeal. Now suppose the child is resisting, child doesn't want to go only, and he's crying. And in such a as he's boxing with his hands, kicking with his legs, he's crying, and he doesn't want to go, and still the elders, they want to take him. So not only Godi, they have to face so much resistance, so much resistance. So Ashtanga Yoga is like that child who doesn't want to walk. The mind is like that child who doesn't want to walk. And the mind is creating tantrum. The mind is saying, hey, you are telling sense control, celibacy, everything. I don't want to give it up. So he's boxing, kicking, everything. And then this poor fellow yogi is carrying all that, and getting the punches and the kick, and then he has to move forward. How difficult it is. How long one can go on. Then we say, oh, then what is bhakti? So bhakti is like sometimes the child, the word is bhakti, like that. So, uh, so, so the point is, you see, if you make the child walk somehow or the other, then it is the best proposition. Minimum efforts, maximum returns. Suppose the child only wants to go. The child is walking, you just see that it is walking on the right track. Suppose the child is running, that is the best thing to do, like that. The child is running, and then it is going to be very easy. Then that whole 20 kg one doesn't have to carry, and no question of any tantrums and all that. So bhakti, what happens is that the process of bhakti, the mind is not lifted. The mind, the process of bhakti, the mind is not lifted forcibly. The mind develops the attraction for Krishna. So the mind, for a sincere sadhaka, his mind is running towards Krishna, like that. That is bhakti. Now may say, oh, how this state can be created in our system. That okay, the mind is running towards Krishna. The mind is attracted towards Krishna. Oh, very nice. Then you don't have to lift that mind, that hefty baby, the child, and what to say of the resistance of the child. And this is where the child himself is going. Wonderful. That is the bhakti process. It's a wonderful process. Now मैं से लेकिन वो attraction आता कैसे है? How that attraction comes? How that attraction comes? So the recipe to create attraction for the mind is here and mentioned. The recipe is hear more and more about Krishna. And the mind hears more and more about Krishna. Immediately mind starts getting attracted. Hey, wonderful, Seems good, Seems cool. So one feels that kind of attraction. That's the more one bombards oneself with Krishna Katha, the more one's mind starts becoming attracted towards Krishna. So how this is like? This is like this is like the process of magnetizing ferrous material. So what is that called as ferromagnetic? A ferromagnetic material. So iron is ferromagnetic. Copper, nickel is ferromagnetic. What else? Iron, nickel. One more is ferromagnetic. Cobalt. Yes, cobalt. Cobalt, huh? Okay, cobalt. Mind is also ferromagnetic. So mind is not paramagnetic or diamagnetic. Mind is ferromagnetic. So So therefore, the mind can be, because mind is ferromagnetic. And how do you understand that? Bhagavatam mentions mind comes from the mode of goodness. You have read that? Mind comes from the mode of goodness. Intelligence comes from passion. No? Yeah. So mind is coming from the mode of goodness. So the Lord has kept the mind ferromagnetic. That is the point. And that is what be hope giving for us. Although this mind is jumping, howling and shouting and everything, but we have to understand it's ferromagnetic. Though the thing is, the mind has to be magnetized. So now as soon as the mind is magnetized, Krishna is the most powerful magnet. Immediately it will be attracted. Like that. How it is magnetized? The process of hearing is the process of magnetization. So we hear. मन में से कैसे कैसे हियरिंग से कैसे हो जाएगा, है ना? हियरिंग से कैसे हो जाएगा? नॉर्मली पढ़ते हैं भूल जाते हैं, पढ़ते हैं भूल जाते हैं. हो जाएगा क्योंकि उसका मेक वहां का है. इट्स अ फेरोमैग्नेटिक मटेरियल. So here it starts getting magnetized, and the mind starts getting magnetized, and the mind becomes Krishnamay. Yeah. A perfectly fully magnetized mind, you see how? That's like the mind of Kulashekara Maharaj. Kulashekara Maharaj is hearing about Lord Ramachandra and he's entering the pastime of the Lord. So one day by mistake, the Brahman who used to read Ramayana, he was ill, he didn't come, his son came, son was not knowing, son forgot what to read. So he started reading the pastime of kidnapping of Mother Sita. He started reading that pastime. Kulashekar Maharaj went out of control. He said, Mother Sita, how dare Ravan can kidnap Mother Sita? He's taking Mother Sita. He was so angry. He said, armies, attack. Everybody is wondering where to attack. They said, no, we are going to Lanka. Everybody saying, we're going to Lanka. My God. But you have to follow the king. And Kulashekar Maharaj is chanting the names of Lord Ram and running and galloping towards the ocean. The armies came till the ocean, but Kulashekar Maharaj was not understanding. He didn't care whether it is land or it is water. He took his horse inside water. The army stopped following after that. So self-preservation is the first principle, no? So you see the point. So the armies came. Kulashekar Maharaj armies, they came up till the ocean, and after that they stopped following. And Kulashekar Maharaj is swimming in the ocean with his sword raised, so angry at Ravan that I will behead you. How dare in the absence of Lord Ramachandra you took Mother Sita? No? I will lay down my life. I will not allow this to happen. And chanting Jai Shri Ram, he is into the ocean, into the ocean, into the ocean. After a short time, no land is visible anywhere. He is completely in the water and chanting Jai Shri Ram. So you see, this is called as a perfectly magnetized mind. No? Perfectly magnetized mind. And in the past time it is mentioned that in this way, this Kulashekar Maharaj is going in the ocean forward and forward and forward, not stepping back only. Lord Ram had to come personally, boarding that, what is that, Pushpak Viman. Pushpak Viman? What Viman? That boarding that Pushpak Viman, he saw Lord Ramachandra, Mother Sita, and Lord Ramachandra is telling Sita, Mother Maya is here. No, be peaceful now. No? Mother Sita is here. Now be peaceful. No problem. No? Everything is auspicious. Ravan is killed. No? Now we're all going back to Ayodhya. No? So then he became so pacified. He's offering obeisance again and again. Then he returned. No? Otherwise, he would have lost his life. This is perfect ferromagnetic mind. No? So immediately, he hears about Krishna, enters Krishna's pastimes. Like that. Just like we hear also, senior devotees recommend that when we hear about the life of the Acharyas, we get also inspired to serve Krishna. What is this? This is called as magnetization. So that is why the Acharyas explain the process of bhakti is what? And you hear about Krishna, hear about Krishna, immediately person will come in action. Hey, I want to serve Krishna. I want to please Krishna. Krishna is the goal of my life. That is why Prabhupada is concluding that hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is the expert treatment for the mad mind. Yeah. And eating the foodstuffs offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. So this is the nature of Krishna Katha. It is so ecstatic. How it actually magnetizes our mind. Let's read further. Hmm. Asamyatatmana yogo dushprapa iti me mati vasyatmana to yatata sakyo vaptum upayata. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Okay, there is a question here, it seems. Let's see the question. Where is the question? What Dhruv Maharaj performed as Ashtanga Yoga or Bhakti Yoga? Yeah. Dhruv Maharaj performed Bhakti Yoga actually. Ashtanga. Narad Muni is instructing him in Bhakti Yoga. In the worship of the Lord, yeah, the deity worship of the Lord and the chanting of the mantra. That is Bhakti Yoga, not Ashtanga Yoga. Actually, Ashtanga also in its higher rungs and the Bhagwan realization has to now hands it over to the realm of Bhakti. Ultimately, do the Ashtanga yogis don't hear about the activities of Lord Vishnu. Otherwise, how they can meditate on Lord Vishnu? Yeah. Unfortunately, Ashtanga yogis don't hear about the activities of Lord Vishnu. So, yeah, they don't hear about the activities of Lord Vishnu. That's the unfortunately. So, how they are able to meditate? So that is why the meditation is very tedious. How they meditate on Lord Vishnu. So, yeah, they actually are looking at Paramatma, which is seated in the heart. Yeah. So, it's like, it's a very small object. And if you want to focus microscope, spectroscope, no? Not spectroscope, but microscope, no? One needs a very powerful magnifying lens, no? 100x lens one may need, or 1000 X lens one may need, no? So, uh, and then also one has to focus. The focal area has to be very meticulously, painstakingly, fine tuned, and then only one can see that desired thing. So Paramatma, seeing the Paramatma is like that only something, a very small object, and one has to take the microscope. Then that very small area is magnified, and then one has to, in that whole area, and the whole big area, one has to find out that exact spot with a small, like that. So the process of Paramatma, observing is also like that only in Ashtanga Yoga. So you see how the process goes on. One has to now follow prescriptions, prohibitions. Then one has to do bodily exercises to get an experience or a realization of being beyond the body. And then one performs the the control of the air, the mastery of the air, that is to get control over the mind now through a mechanical brute force way, and get the realization that I am separate from the mind, and then start focusing on the breath. Then no, the breath, the incoming and outgoing, breath. So merge the incoming in the outgoing in the incoming. Those are very tedious steps which are mentioned. So all this, and then slowly one will realize that I am Brahman, I am liberated. And then slowly one may start seeing the Paramatma feature of the Lord, and then the Bhagavan feature. So it's a very tedious process because there is no hearing. So there is no hearing, there is no magnetization. That means the attraction principle is not working. In bhakti, the mind starts getting attracted. So you can see also. Do we not have experience that when we read Srila Prabhupada books, one day you read very nicely, half an hour, 45 minutes. Next day you like to read it. Like you read Lilamrit a little bit, you want to read it more. You want to read it more. But you don't read it, then for months and months and years and decades and lifetimes one may not read it. But one starts reading, immediately the next day there is attraction. And there is attraction. So bhakti works by this attraction principle. Whereas the Ashtanga Yoga is not like that. It is a brute force. It is a brute force principle. Okay, so for one whose mind is unbridled and self-realization is a difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. Yeah. Mind has to be controlled and person has to put efforts by the appropriate means. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like igniting a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor, but a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. The nature of service is also like that. Initially, you may do seva, one may feel a little bad about, one may feel it is not quite Herculean or something like that. Slowly, very soon, one will start liking the service and one likes to do service like that. Like say, for example, preaching. So we go out for preaching. It's very nice, and it's very nice to see also how people's lives are getting transformed. So one will start developing a liking for it. Similarly, Prabhupada says, Bhagavatam has stories, it has drama, it has adventure, it has thrill, it has horror, it has logic, it has mind blowing, everything is there. So one will like it, and one will like to hear more and more. That is the point. One will like it, and one will like to hear more and more also. Like that. Yeah. So the similarly Mangalarti also, So when we have a regular practice of attending the morning program, if any catastrophe happens someday, it should not happen. But suppose the catastrophe happens, one will feel very bad in that day. Yeah. So can anyone dream? Can any of us dream of getting up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning? The proposal itself is so obnoxious. one feels that अरे 9 बजे तक करेंगे क्या बेड में like so yeah so, uh, yeah, with some practice what will happen is that a devotee will look forward for the Mangalarti as one goes on practicing. uh, in the night 2 times one will get up to see अरे अभी तक 12 बजे है ना, should be 3 o'clock. I getting up, I'll pick up the pad and chant, like that. Again I'll say, hey, 1:30 बजे अरे क्या है ना, I want the person feel like that. And 3 o'clock he'll jump up from the bed, like that. And that yes, now is my time to get the reunion with Krishna, like that. There is excitement. So although the mind is there, how is the excitement coming? That the mind is getting tuned to Krishna's rhythm. So therefore, one has to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Then one can steadily control the mind. Then one can steadily control the mind. Similarly, you see, when we hear kirtans, we like to hear kirtans. So sometimes hours and hours one may be just absorbed in a kirtan, steadily controlling the mind. That is the way to how steadily controlling the mind. Okay, let's read the next verse. This is 37. Arjuna Vacha. Ayati Shraddhaya Shraddha Shraddhayopeto Yogacharitamanasa Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati. Oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and does not attain the perfection in mysticism? So here the question is asked, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist? So beginning is very good, but later because of worldly mindedness the person desists. That means not able to properly apply the process of self-realization due to worldly mindedness, getting attracted by material flavors, and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism. Okay, purpose. The path of self-realization or mysticism is described in Bhagavad Gita. The basic principle of self-realization is knowledge that the living entity is not this material body and that is different from it,